started thinking about prior to break, where you guys went on to Schoology and you started saying, well, I might be interested in this and I could study that. We narrowed it down to come up with a research question. And we know that that question is something that you guys are going to have to refer back to throughout your entire research to make sure you stay on track. Well, today, what I want to talk about just for a minute and then give you some opportunities to practice that is working with the actual resources and determining whether or not they are good sources. So we're evaluating those. Any scientist knows that when you evaluate stuff, you have to put it to some sort of test, right? You have a hypothesis and then you test that hypothesis. That's what we're going to be doing, not just with our research, but the stuff today to get a little bit of practice with that. That brings me to the thing that you guys have been asking about, the stuff that's on the board. It's the craft test, Ms. Callihan. Well, the craft test is basically a way that something you can use to look at materials, research materials, and determine whether or not they're good to use. Okay? So, the things that go into that are currency, relevancy, accuracy, and then the last one, which is purpose. To start, I want to go through a quick review of which these words mean. And then, like I said, I'm going to give you guys some research materials and let you evaluate them in your groups so that way you can determine if these are things that you feel like you would be able to use for that particular research. Okay? So let's talk about currency. Currency is not money in this case. What do you think?
How recent the article?
Perfect. We're talking about how recent was it? So the time it was published, right? Now, if I'm a heart surgeon and I'm going to do a procedure on someone tomorrow and I need to review the materials that are available so that way I can decide if I know what I'm doing or not, would it be better if I looked at materials that were published in 2015 or materials that were published in 1976? 2015, why? It's more recent. And when we're talking about life and death procedures, you kind of want me to be current, right? Now, or accurate. Accurate is also another good thing. We'll get to that in a bit. But if I am, say, researching Shakespeare, and I decide I want to do some work with his Globe Theater, okay? The Globe was built around 1550s, give or take a year or decade, right? So, is it important that I have stuff published from 2015 if that's what I'm studying? Why? Okay, so it was 1550. A long time ago, right? So if something was published about the Globe Theater, say, 70 years ago, I can still consider that current to the topic. And that's the key. We have to think about, at the front of our minds, we have to say, what is my topic? What is my research question? And is this resource going to work for me? So maybe not if I'm a heart surgeon, but definitely if I'm studying literature. Now let's talk about relevancy. This is something that we have hit on already this week when we were talking Monday about terrorists wanting to be relevant, right?
Yeah.
So what does relevant mean?
Real. Well, I'm trying to be the biggest one.
Okay, so you said real. And what do you mean by the biggest one?
The most scariest terrorist.
If it's the most scariest terrorist, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Like, is it some, like if I
They
know,
want us to care.
and I get where you're going with the terrorism thing and the big scary guy. You care much more about the big scary guy than the guy who's like, I got a bomb. Right? So relevancy means it needs to be something that we care about. When I'm doing research, what am I caring about?
The topic.
The topic, right? So if this thing is on your topic, that's awesome.
time when you say 30.
Right? Yeah, I get that. But let me ask you this, police officers, what is their authority in? Like
Law enforcement.
law enforcement. Yeah? So they know the rules, what you can do and what you can't, right? So they're an authority on those things. But what if, say, we take a look at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. I don't know where that just came out there. If I'm looking at Michael Jackson, what would he have been an authority in?
Pop music.
Pop music, right? So when we say it has authority, what does that mean?
Meaning. Power.
Power?
He's like a small agent.
He's like absolutely knows a lot of stuff, right?
Or like someone or something you look up to.
Well,
Someone who's like an expert in the topic.
yes, yes. Perfect. Thank you for synthesizing that for me. When we look at the authority, we're looking at somebody who isn't, we're looking at somebody who is an authority, an expert in the topic. Now, do we have to have some sort of certificate that says, hey, I'm an authority in this?
No.
I mean, if we look around the room, if we had a question about wrestling, who would we ask?
AJ.
Exactly, because he's an authority on the subject. AJ, how many years have you been wrestling? 9? That's a long time, right?
Yeah.
He probably knows a thing or two. So if I had a question about wrestling, I'd have him on speed dial and be like, hey, what does this mean? I don't even know.
What if he doesn't know though? Yeah.
Do you think if he doesn't know, do you think he knows who would?
Probably.
Exactly. So even authorities may not have all the answers, but they know who does, which is beautiful.
Or they know someone who might know who does.
Exactly. All right, accuracy.
You're on point.
You're on point. What does on point mean?
Exactly what it says. Like my eyebrows. Accuracy. Be accurate to the topic.
If something is accurate, what is it?
It's right.
It's right. Yes. It's right.
My eyebrows.
Absolutely, for sure.
It's accurate.
All right, so if we are talking
Several technical difficulties later. I feel like it's a SpongeBob episode. Within your groups, I'm going to give each of you guys one of these sheets. Now, on the sheet, we are going to be supposing one big thing. And the thing that we're supposing, the thing we're supposing is that we are researching Dr. Martin Luther King's early years, okay? So, this is not anyone's topic in here. I made sure that we weren't looking at things that were related to Dr. King. So, I'm going to pass these out. Now, the directions are pretty straightforward. You're going to look at each of the four, we're going to look at each of the 4 documents, yeah? And you guys within your group are going to decide whether or not that document passes or fails the crap test, right? Now, if it passes, then you do nothing. You write pass and you move on. If it fails, I need you to tell me what criteria it failed on. So, was it not relevant, right? Is this not about my topic at all? Does this seem like the accuracy of the information is wrong?
Hey, you should write everything back down so we know what to look for.
That is an awesome idea, and that's why it's on this sheet. Hey! So, I'm going to pass this information out to you guys. Within your groups, I want you to take a look at them. You guys are going to have about 7 minutes to evaluate and then move on, okay? Does anybody have any questions about this part?
No.
1 sheet per group. There's a section here for you to put your group members' names, okay? All right. So, 1 6. Can I have 1 6 and called jury. Is he from the South? Sit up. Right. Alright. So talk to me about what we're doing. Okay. Now, let me ask you this, do you have to read every word of the article to know whether or not it's going? No, but just enough? Okay. Are you gonna start with number one? Okay. Yeah, I should share the information. I don't get to look to the bottom of the page, which would be on the back